They hurt you. They ignore you. They disappear when you need them the most, yet the moment they return, you feel relief instead of anger. You tell yourself you're done. You swear you'll never answer their calls again, never wait for their texts, never fall for their words, but somehow you always do. Why? Why do you stay loyal to someone who is only loyal to your presence, not your pain? Why do you keep holding on to someone who only holds you when it benefits them? You think it's love. You think it's hope. You think it's because maybe, one day, they'll finally understand your worth. But the truth is harsher than that. What you're experiencing is not love, it's addiction. A psychological dependency, carefully wired into your nervous system over time. They don't just control your emotions. They control your chemistry. Why you stay addicted to those who hurt you. At first, they gave you everything. Attention, affection, promise, possibility. They mirrored your desires, made you feel seen in a way no one else ever had. They became your source of joy, and slowly, without you noticing, your source of certainty. Then it changed. They started giving less, answering slower, touching colder. But your mind didn't register their absence, it remembered the high. You weren't chasing them anymore, you were chasing the feeling they once gave you. Because the most dangerous drug in the world is not a substance. It's a person who gives you just enough to keep you wanting more. The trap, how they keep you hooked. There's a pattern toxic people follow. They rope you in with intensity, they withdraw to create anxiety, and then, right before you break, they return with just enough warmth to reset your hope. This pattern is called intermittent reinforcement. Psychologists discovered something terrifying. If you reward someone consistently, they'll eventually get bored. But if you reward them randomly, sometimes yes, sometimes no, they become obsessed. This is the psychology behind gambling, behind addictions, behind obsession with unavailable people. You don't know when they'll call. You don't know if they care. You don't know how they feel. And that uncertainty keeps you hooked more powerfully than love ever could. You're not waiting for them. You're waiting for the hit. How your own mind betrays you. You think you want them because they're special. But deep inside, it's not they who are special. It's the wound they fit into. Maybe you grew up being ignored, and now silence feels familiar. Maybe you had to earn love, and now effort feels natural. Maybe chaos was your comfort, and now peace feels boring. So when someone hurts you, your mind doesn't reject them. It whispers, "This feels like home." You don't stay because you're weak. You stay because some part of you believes this is what love is supposed to feel like. The moment of awakening. Let's make something very clear. If they truly loved you, they wouldn't make you question reality. They wouldn't go silent when you're in pain. They wouldn't leave you confused, anxious, doubtful. Love shouldn't feel like waiting for permission. Love shouldn't feel like chasing someone who is running from you. Love shouldn't feel like begging for what should be given freely. The truth. They don't love you. They love your devotion. They love your effort. They love your availability. They don't love you, they love the control they have over you. You don't have to walk away, yet. I'm not telling you to leave them right now. Because I already know you won't. Not today, maybe not tomorrow. But after hearing this, you will never see them the same way again. Next time they pull away, you'll notice. Next time they return with fake warmth, you'll see through it. Next time your heart aches, you'll whisper to yourself, "This isn't love, this is programming." And the moment you're ready, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of clarity, you will walk away quietly. No dramatic goodbye. No desperate explanations. Just silence. And when they finally turn around to look for you, you'll already be gone. Not because they lost interest in you, but because you finally lost interest in being hurt. You won't wake up one morning and suddenly stop caring. Healing doesn't arrive with lightning. It arrives with small, silent refusals. At first, you'll still feel the urge to text them. Your fingers will hover over the keyboard, waiting to type the familiar words. Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? Can we talk? But instead of sending it, you'll pause. Not because you no longer care, but because you've finally accepted the truth. You are not confused, you are being made to feel confused. And deep down, you already know the answer. The inner fight, chemistry versus consciousness. This is where the real battle begins. Your chemical self will scream, reach out, fix it, get the high again. But your conscious self will whisper, not this time. You'll still check your phone. You'll still replay old conversations. You'll still wonder if they're thinking of you. That's okay. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It simply means you stop acting on every feeling. You start to see the pattern clearly. Eventually, you'll begin to predict their moves. They disappear, right arrow, you panic. They return, right arrow, you forgive instantly. They act, sweet, right arrow, you get hopeful again. They pull away, right arrow, you blame yourself. A never-ending loop. But now that you've seen it, it's no longer a mystery, it's a mechanism. And mechanisms can be shut down. You begin to pull back softly, quietly. You don't announce your withdrawal. You don't tell them, I'm done. You don't post quotes, you don't start arguments. You simply stop reacting. Their delayed replies, you don't chase. Their dry tone, you don't overanalyze. Their sudden affection, you don't melt immediately. You stop feeding the cycle. You let the silence do what your words could never achieve. They will feel it. Not right away, but eventually. They will sense that something is off. Not because you said anything, but because you stopped begging for breadcrumbs. Their panic, losing control over you. When a manipulator feels you slipping away, they do not apologize. They re-strategize. They may suddenly become extra kind. They may bring up memories. They may tell you they miss the old you. They may say you've changed. Of course you've changed. They trained you to. They forced you to. And now they must face the version of you they created. A version that no longer bows at the sight of inconsistency. The psychology of starving the addiction. Every time you resist reacting, you starve the pattern. Every time you choose discomfort over desperation, you rewire your brain. This is not easy. This is not instant. But slowly the cravings weaken. You start to enjoy your own silence more than their chaos. You start to prefer peace over excitement. You start to realize something terrifying. You were never afraid of losing them. You were afraid of losing the identity you built around loving them. And that is when true detachment begins. At first, they won't take your silence seriously. They've seen you walk away before, only to return. They assume this is just another episode, another emotional storm you'll recover from, another moment of resistance that will fade as soon as they offer a little warmth. So they wait, confident, relaxed, smirking at the illusion of your rebellion. But something is different this time. You aren't leaving with noise or anger. You aren't demanding change. You aren't begging to be understood. You're simply not participating. And that terrifies them more than any argument ever could. Stage 1, confusion. They start with small tests. A random emoji. A vague hey. A memory like remember when we. They're not reaching out to care. They're reaching out to measure your availability. But your response is no longer emotionally rich. No more instant excitement. No more long paragraphs. No more vulnerability. Just calm, almost indifferent replies. That's when confusion begins to bloom inside them. Stage 2, annoyance. How dare you pull back? Don't you remember who they are? They might start sending passive-aggressive messages. You've changed. You used to care. Wow, I guess I meant nothing to you. These are not expressions of pain, these are attempts to guilt trip you back into obedience. But guilt no longer intoxicates you. You hear their words and feel nothing but quiet certainty. Stage 3, reperformance. When guilt fails, they switch tactics. They revert to the version of themselves that first captured you. They'll laugh like before. Speak like before. Pretend to understand you like before. They will temporarily become the person you fell in love with. But this time you don't melt. Because now you know. That wasn't their true self, that was their bait. Stage 4, panic. When charm fails, panic begins. They begin to realize. They are no longer inside your nervous system. They can no longer trigger you with silence. They can no longer control you with affection. They can no longer pull you back with memories. They begin to spiral. Not because they love you, but because they are losing the power to define how you feel. Stage 5, retaliation or disappearance. This is where paths split. Some will lash out, attacking your character, spreading rumors, convincing others that you're the problem. Some will play the victim, acting heartbroken, telling everyone how cold you became. And some will vanish. Not because they gave up, but because they're waiting for you to collapse without them. But you don't. You wake up. You breathe. You function. Quietly, calmly, stronger than ever. And that's when the truth hits them. They didn't lose you. They lost their reflection of power through you. You were never weak for staying. But you became invincible the moment you stopped reacting. Healing doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It doesn't arrive when the pain stops. It arrives the moment you stop seeking pain disguised as love. One day, not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. You'll wake up and something will feel different. Not lighter. Not joyful. Just quiet. The urge to check your phone, gone. The need to explain your worth, gone. The obsession with what they think of you, gone. Not because you forgot them, but because you finally remembered yourself. You will walk past the places you once associated with them. And instead of feeling haunted, you'll simply acknowledge the memory, then release it. You won't smile. You won't cry. You'll just accept. And acceptance is the most powerful goodbye. They may still try to return. Not because they love you, but because they can't stand the idea that someone who once knelt at their feet now stands tall without their permission. They'll ask, "So this is it? After everything, you're just done?" You won't respond with anger or poetry. You'll simply say, "It was over the moment I stopped hurting and started understanding." Closure is not a conversation, it is a decision. You never needed them to apologize. You never needed them to understand. You only needed yourself to finally see that love should not feel like survival. And so you will leave. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with dignity. No blocked numbers. No long paragraphs. No emotional speeches. Just silence. The kind of silence that says, "I chose peace over your chaos. I chose clarity over confusion. I chose myself over the story I wrote about you." They will call it ego. They will call it coldness. They will call it everything but what it truly is. Freedom. You won't celebrate. You won't announce it. You will simply continue breathing. But this time, without having to beg for oxygen from someone who was only drowning you. That is the real ending. Not when they stop hurting you, but when you stop allowing it. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. If you're still listening, it means some part of you already knows the truth. You weren't broken. You were conditioned to equate chaos with passion, inconsistency with love, neglect with patience. But now you know better. Now you've seen behind the curtain. Now you understand that not everyone who touches you is meant to stay. And not everyone you crave is meant to be yours. So let this be your quiet promise to yourself. I will not chase what harms me. I will not romanticize my own suffering. I will not wait to be chosen by someone who never learned how to love. There is a love waiting for you that doesn't make you question your worth. A peace waiting for you that doesn't feel boring. A life waiting for you where you don't have to fight for the bare minimum. But you can't reach it until you loosen your grip on what is already slipping away. So don't rush. Don't force healing. Don't pretend to be over it. Just breathe. Let the addiction starve. Let the memories soften. Let your silence do the work. And when they wonder why you never came back, they'll search for the answer in your absence. But the truth will echo quietly in your presence. You didn't leave because you stopped loving them. You left because you finally started loving yourself.